Have you ever stood at the edge of the great sea? Perhaps you have. You might recall the feeling of the cool, damp sand beneath your feet. You remember the gentle breeze as it softly touches your face, carrying the salty scent of the water. The ocean on a calm day is a peaceful place. It invites you to listen. It seems to whisper secrets with each wave that laps against the shore. The rhythmic sound of the water is like a slow, steady heartbeat. It is the pulse of our planet, a sound that has echoed through time, long before any of us were here to listen to its ancient song. On these quiet days, the horizon stretches out, a perfect unbroken line where the blue of the water meets the vastness of the sky. Seabirds glide effortlessly on the currents of the air, their calls punctuating the serene atmosphere. You might see small boats bobbing gently in the distance, their occupants enjoying the tranquility of the open water. It is a scene of profound peace, a moment of connection with the natural world. The sun warms your skin, and the world feels simple, understandable, and safe. The ocean appears as a gentle giant, a benevolent force that cradles the land and nurtures life within its depths. But this calmness, this gentle breathing of the sea, is only one part of its story. The ocean holds another side, a character of immense and untamable power. It is a power that we often forget when we are soothed by its peaceful murmurs. This tranquil surface can change. The gentle breeze can become a furious roar. The soft lapping of the waves can transform into a thunderous crash. The ocean has a wild spirit, a force that commands respect and sometimes inspires fear. This sleeping giant does not always slumber, and when it awakens, it reminds us of its true, formidable nature. But we must also understand its strength. This story is about that strength. It is a tale of what happens when the ocean's whisper turns into a mighty roar. We will journey into the heart of the storm, not to fear it, but to understand it. We will explore the forces that gather and build, transforming the placid sea into a tempest. Join me and let us listen to the other story the ocean has to tell. The stories of ocean storms are often told with drama and with haste. They are tales of chaos and destruction, moments of crisis that unfold rapidly on our screens. But we are often left with more questions than answers. What really happens out there in the vast expanse of the water when a storm is born? How does the air and the sea conspire to create such a magnificent and terrifying spectacle? These are the questions we will explore together, not with speed, but with the slow patience of a storyteller. Think of it as sitting together by a warm fire while the wind howls safely outside. I will be your guide, and I promise to explain the life of an ocean storm clearly and simply. We will start with the simplest ingredients: a bit of wind, the warmth of the sun, the surface of the water. We will see how these elements come together, how they dance and interact, building step by step. We will unravel the mysteries of the wind and the waves. We will look at how a gentle squall is different from a raging gale. Hurricanes, typhoons, and see they are part of the same global family. Using simple ideas and familiar comparisons, we will make sense of the science. Instead, we will picture the forces at work, the storm's shape, its size, the path it travels across the sea. Our journey will be gentle, a slow unfolding of knowledge. It will become a language you can begin to understand. Together, we will look into the heart of the storm and find not just power, but a deeper understanding of the world we all share, you know? Every storm, no matter how grand or fearsome, begins with something very simple. It begins with a single ray of sunshine. Imagine the sun, high in the sky, shining down upon the vast blue expanse of the tropical ocean. It stores this warmth within its upper layers, creating a massive reservoir of thermal energy that lies waiting like a coiled spring. It happens over weeks and months, especially during the warmer seasons of the year. The surface water temperature must rise to a specific point, typically around 26.5 degrees Celsius, or about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the magic number, the threshold that must be crossed for the ocean to offer up its stored energy to the atmosphere above. This warm water does something else that is crucial. It begins to evaporate. They ascend into the air, creating a layer of warm, moist air that hugs the ocean's surface. Think of it as the sun's warm breath, exhaling moisture into the sky. Warm air is less dense than cool air, so it has a natural tendency to rise like a hot air balloon straining against its ropes. All that is missing is a trigger, a disturbance that will set this potent combination of heat and moisture into motion. As this parcel of warm, moist air rises, it moves into higher altitudes where the atmosphere is cooler and the pressure is lower. The air expands and cools down. The invisible water vapor is forced to condense, changing back into tiny liquid water droplets. This is the very moment a cloud is born. The process of condensation releases a tremendous amount of energy in the form of heat. This released heat is called latent heat, and it is the engine of the storm. This newly warmed air continues to rise, creating a sort of chimney effect. The rising air creates an area of lower pressure near the ocean's surface where the air just left. This is the birth of wind. This cycle now begins to feed itself. The new air that flows in over the warm ocean surface quickly picks up its own load of heat and moisture. As it rises, it cools, condenses, and releases more latent heat. This makes the column rise faster, which in turn strengthens the low-pressure area at the surface, pulling in even more air from the surroundings. The air has begun to dance, a swirling, rising pattern that grows stronger with every rotation of this magnificent heat-driven engine. As the winds begin to converge on the new low-pressure centre, they don't simply rush straight in. The rotation of our planet introduces the Coriolis effect. In the northern hemisphere, this deflection is to the right. In the southern hemisphere, this deflection is to the left. This is why storms spin. The planetary push turns an updraft into a rotating system. Thunderstorm clusters consolidate into a defined, swirling centre. The storm takes its iconic shape. Down on the water, winds agitate the ocean's surface. What started as scattered puffy cumulus clouds now grow into towering thunderheads, cumulonimbus clouds. They become arranged in spiral bands that curve in towards the centre. These are the rain bands, the arms of the storm. They carry heavy rain and strong gusty winds. The air continues its journey, spiralling inwards at the surface, rising violently in the thunderstorms of the rain bands, and then flowing outwards at the very top of the storm. This outflow at the top is essential. It acts like an exhaust vent, clearing the air high above so that more air from the surface can be drawn upwards, keeping the entire system running smoothly and allowing it to intensify. A system with winds below 63 kilometers per hour or 39 miles per hour is called a tropical depression. As the winds strengthen further, passing this threshold, the storm graduates to become a tropical storm. At this stage, it is given a name from a predetermined list, a formal recognition of its growing power and potential threat. From the simple ingredients of warm water and moist air, and with a little push from the Earth's rotation, nature has constructed a magnificent and formidable heat engine. It is a sleeping giant that is beginning to stir, ready to grow into the gales and hurricanes that command our deep respect. Table of Contents, Part 3, Act 2, Types of Ocean Storms. 1. The Great Tropical Family, Cyclones, Hurricanes, Typhoons. 2. The Life of a Hurricane. 3. The Nor'easter, a winter fury. 4. Storms of the middle latitudes. 5. Small but mighty, mesoscale storms. The great storms born over our planet's tropical waters are known by many names. The name we give them simply depends on where in the world they form. These storms are all technically known as tropical cyclones. This is their scientific family name. In the Atlantic Ocean and the northeastern Pacific Ocean, we call them hurricanes. This name comes from Huracan, a god of wind, storm and fire for the ancient Taino people of the Caribbean. If we travel across the Pacific to its northwestern part, we find the very same type of storm, but here they are called typhoons. The word typhoon may have its roots in the Greek typhon, or perhaps from the Chinese taifeng, meaning great wind. And in the South Pacific and the Indian Ocean, these storms are simply called cyclones, or sometimes severe tropical cyclones. So, whether it is a hurricane churning in the Atlantic, a typhoon bearing down on Asia, or a cyclone forming in the Indian Ocean, we are witnessing the same natural phenomenon. Like any living thing, a great ocean storm has a life cycle. It is born, it grows and matures, and eventually it weakens and fades away. It will begin to organize. It develops a spin, a circulation, and becomes a tropical depression. As the storm continues to draw energy from the warm sea, its winds intensify. When they reach a sustained speed of 63 kilometers per hour, the storm graduates. It becomes a tropical storm and is given a name. When winds exceed 119 kilometers per hour, it officially becomes a hurricane. Hurricanes are then categorized on a scale from 1 to 5, based on their wind speed. A Category 5 hurricane is a truly fearsome force of nature. When a hurricane moves over cooler waters or makes landfall, its energy source is cut off. The storm begins to weaken, its structure breaking down. And finally it will dissipate, becoming just a remnant area of clouds and rain. The giant's life comes to a quiet end. Not all of the ocean's powerful storms are born in the tropics. Along the east coast of North America, another type of fierce storm brews, especially during the winter months. This storm is known as a nor'easter. It is fueled by the dramatic clash between two very different air masses. The sharp temperature contrast between these two air masses is the primary source of the storm's energy. A mature nor'easter can be a massive storm, sometimes spanning over 1,000 miles. The prolonged period of strong northeasterly winds can build up enormous waves and push a tremendous amount of water towards the shore. The precipitation can be a drenching, frigid rain or a crippling blizzard. Beyond the tropics, there is a whole other class of ocean storms, known as mid-latitude cyclones or extratropical cyclones. They are the common everyday storm systems that bring much of the weather. One of the most fascinating examples is the polar low. These are small, ferocious cyclones that form in the frigid air. They are like miniature, cold-hearted hurricanes. Another type of smaller ocean storm is the squall line, a long, narrow line of intense thunderstorms. They move quickly and can bring a sudden and dramatic change in the weather. Section 1. the sailor's ordeal. For as long as humans have ventured onto the open sea, they have faced the ocean's fury. It is also a profoundly human story of survival against overwhelming odds. The world shrinks to the small boat, a tiny, fragile shell among liquid mountains. And then, if fortunate, the storm begins to pass. The sailor, bruised and exhausted, has survived. While the sailor battles the storm at sea, another human drama unfolds on the land. Evacuation orders may be issued, and families are faced with a difficult choice. To leave means heading inland into uncertainty, becoming a refugee from the weather. The greatest fear for any coastal community is the storm surge. It is not a gentle rise, it is a rapid and destructive flood. For those who stayed behind, the sound of water seeping under the door is the sound of their worst nightmare coming true. In the midst of the chaos and destruction, another, more hopeful human story always emerges. It is the story of the helpers. In the immediate aftermath of a storm, it is often neighbours who become the first line of response. When the winds finally die down and the floodwaters begin to recede, the storm is over, but the human story is not. People return to what is left of their homes to sift through the wreckage, searching for cherished possessions. Yet amid the loss, the spirit of resilience takes root. The storm leaves a permanent scar, but it also reveals the incredible strength and determination of a community to rebuild, to endure, and to hope again. This chapter is not about being victims, but about becoming careful and knowledgeable observers. High above the atmosphere, a fleet of silent sentinels, our weather satellites, constantly gaze down upon the Earth. They can spot a potential storm when it is just a disorganized cluster of clouds. They see the structure take shape. They see the eye begin to form. Closer to the action, specially equipped aircraft, hurricane hunters, perform a courageous task. These crews fly directly into the heart of the storm. They drop sensors called dropsondes, measuring pressure, temperature, humidity and wind speed. This inside information is invaluable. All of this data is fed into some of the most powerful supercomputers on Earth. These computers run numerical weather prediction models. Forecasters run many different models. When many models agree, confidence grows. This results in the familiar cone of uncertainty you see on the news. Meteorologists at national hurricane centers working around the clock, analyzing model outputs, studying satellite imagery, and using their expertise to issue watches and warnings. For individuals and families, protection comes from having a plan. Knowledge is our most important personal shield. We find ourselves back where our journey began, standing at the edge of the great sea. Yet something is different. We are different. The tranquil scene before us no longer seems so simple. We now understand what lies hidden within this peace. If you pick up a seashell from the sand and hold it to your ear, it is often said that you can hear the ocean. Perhaps what we are really hearing now is an echo of our own understanding. We hear not just the memory of the waves, but the whisper of the entire story. We hear the rising air, the spinning winds, and the release of immense energy. Our place is not to conquer nature, but to live within it, to observe its rhythms and to understand its ways. While the ocean's storms are a force of nature, our response to them is a choice. We can choose to be prepared. We can choose to listen to the warnings. We look out at the shared horizon, knowing that we are part of this grand, wild world, and that we have the wisdom to find our safe place within it.